Hello and welcome to Main Street Matters by Heart on Main Street, the podcast that knows the right way to do things. I'm your host, Patrick Keiser. It was so great seeing so many of you in Atlanta last week. Thank you to all those who stopped by, our showroom partners, and made our One Day, One Heart fundraising event so tremendously successful. Again, proceeds from that event are going to help retailers that have had their stores damaged or destroyed by natural disasters. Because when a community is affected by an event, it really is everyone in that community, the families, the business owners, the local economy that are hit by that. Everyone struggles to find help, and we are here to help businesses rebound. Someone recently called us the Aflac for retailers, which is just bananas, but I will accept the comparison. Maybe I need a talking duck to do my commercials. Does anyone know one? But your donations and support of our organization is going to go so far to help retailers get back on their feet despite the odds that they're up against. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Today's episode is a continuation of our book club series. We are continuing our investigation of Paco Underhill's transformative book on the science of shopping called Why We Buy. This is our third episode, so if you have not listened to the first two, I encourage you to go back and do so. While each episode is standalone, some of the concepts are going to be building upon each other, so I do encourage you to listen to the other episodes and maybe go out and buy the book. It's a really fantastic read for retailers. The structure of our book club is to dive into books that provide great insights for retailers and then break them down into their key takeaways. Our first episode about Why We Buy, we started outside the store, looking at its external nature and how simple changes can make it more appealing to passerbys, more memorable, more engaging. This is a crucial point for customer acquisition. The outside of the store needs to appeal to that unknown customer. I'm sure you can think of stores that you have walked by or driven by that you just don't have an appeal towards, and thus you've never entered that store, despite the fact that they might have some products that you're interested in. For this second episode, we entered into the store and we looked at the first 5 to 10 feet of the store, the decompression zone. This is an area where customers have to transition from the outside to the inside and how products placed in this zone become really lost in that transition. There are ways to shrink or interrupt the transition, but the retailer must take intentional action to implement these. For our third episode, we're going to make it past that transition zone and start walking the store. For these first few episodes, I've tried to lay them out not in order of importance of the topic within the book, but as you would approach the concept within the store, coming from the outside, walking in, and then beginning to explore. Eventually, I'm not really going to be able to do this as many things start happening all at once, but I wanted to have this feeling of walking into the store and analyzing it from the outside in to start off this journey. So gather around, book clubbers. Let's start talking about our next major takeaway from Why We Buy, and maybe the most famous from the entire book. The idea that customers generally gravitate towards the right. I want you to think about the last time that you entered a store. After you made it through the transition zone and officially entered the store both physically and mentally, where did you go? Unless this is a store that was incredibly familiar to you and you knew exactly what you were looking for, and even then this might be true, you most likely wandered to the right. Not a sharp turn, more of a gradual drift. Just about everyone does. This has become one of the most well-known and most studied ideas within Why We Buy. So you already likely know of this concept, but maybe not the ramifications and the larger idea behind this concept. If you were to map out everyone who walks through your door and map their path through the store, and actually this is what Paco Underhill and his company do in thousands of retailers all across the world, the foot traffic would sort of look like a question mark. There's the straight part through the transition zone, then a gradual movement to the right as the customer reaches the back of the store, and then a gradual loop back towards the front. Now, some of this is cultural. In the United States, we drive on the right, we walk on the right side of a sidewalk, and thus in a store, we tend to move more towards the right. Underhill does note that in other countries, there is a larger likelihood of the customer moving to the left based on their culture, but that's not always the case. There's also a genetic component to this as well. About 90% of people are right-handed, right foot dominant, right eye dominant, so we as humans tend to lead with the right more often than not. So about now you're probably saying to yourself, whoa, Pat, this is some really fun information, but what does it mean for my retail store and the customer that comes in there that they tend to move to the right? Well, for one, it means that the front right of your store is the prime real estate. This is where the best items and the most important goods to the store should be going. Customers will walk in fresh and not encumbered by other items in their hands. They're not worried about how much they're going to be spending already. Items in the front right of the store will be seen first and appreciated more than all of the other items in the store. So let's take this even a step further. Let's talk about what should go in that front right prime real estate besides, quote unquote, the most important items. Think about who your shopper is. Now, not to be stereotypical, but a large majority of shoppers are female. Therefore, items in this prime real estate should be items that appeal particularly or especially to a female shopper. Paco gives the example of a clothing store that was split by gender, and they had the men's section on the right. Female shoppers came in, they turned right, they kind of became confused as to where to find their clothes, and then they had to walk back, often kind of embarrassed, to the other side of the store. In this example of this store, the kids' clothing was also on the right, in the right back of the store, alongside and behind the men's clothing. So as soon as the female customers left the men's section, well, they didn't return, not even go back to the kids' items. And thus the kids' items were the worst selling category in the entire store. So you can see the importance here. Men's items do not go in the front of the store. Sorry for me. And as an extra note, men's and kids' items really should not be paired together. Think about who is doing the shopping for the children's items. Again, it's typically the female. So if you're going to pair those together in any way, the children's items should be going alongside the women's items where they can naturally transition from the women's into the children's. Paco has a quote in his book that we're going to investigate further in another episode, but I love it, honestly, and I think it fits really well in here too. He's talking about a bookstore in Austin that has a wide variety of non-book items for sale. And he writes that bookstores don't just sell books, they sell items to people that like books. There's a big distinction there. People that like books buy lots of different things that might be related to books, that might be book themed. They're not just selling books, they're selling anything that a book lover might like, which might include candles, it might include a whole wide variety of other things beyond just books. So knowing who your main customer is and having items for them particularly in the front right of your store is important and should be noted for yourself. So if the front right of the store is the best spot, what is the worst? It's tempting to say, well, the complete opposite side of the store, the back left, right? However, the question mark will take customers back there in the natural course of their walking. And if there's some wisely placed baskets or shopping bags along the way, customers will have their hands free to be able to shop in this section as well. This is going to be true unless, of course, there's a line at the cash wrap that's created a wall of people and no one can even see or move themselves into the back of the store. It's actually the front to middle left that's going to be the area where customers come into contact with last. And at this point, they've already been shopped out, or they're maybe worried about how much they're going to be spending. This will be the area that's going to see a decreased level of sales. So, what can be placed here so that it's not just a dead spot of your store? The front to middle left of your store would be an excellent place for the cash wrap to go. Don't make people think about paying for their items until they're already done shopping and they've already walked your store. Placing it on the right side of the store takes up some valuable prime real estate. And if it's smartly placed and constructed on the left side, even a long line will leave most of the floor accessible for shoppers to explore. One last note pertaining to the right side influence within shopping. As I mentioned, about 90% of people are right side dominant. This means that we generally pick things up with our right hand and we carry things with our left hand. So what does that mean for shopping? It means that products become easier for customers to reach and grab when they are in the center or the right side of a display. People are less likely to reach across their body to grab something. And as we'll discuss in a further episode on cross-merchandising, people are more likely to pick up an additional item if it's on the right side of a product that they actually want. So my challenge to you is to take an analytical approach to your floor plan. Are they optimized to allow people to gradually drift to the right and move in a question mark shape around the store? Are your most important items placed in that prime real estate? There probably isn't much you can do about the placement of your cash wrap area, but at least take note if it's inhibiting the flow of the traffic pattern. When looking at your products, is there a chance to reposition them to the right side of a display and maybe moving something to the right of a hot item that can help it gain more visibility? And if some products within a display aren't selling all that well, what would moving it to the right side of that display do for it? In the next few weeks, examine the layout of your store and the placement of your products within them. Is there a way to potentially get better sell-through with the right mindset? Until next time, stay safe, shop local, and keep your heart on Main Street. This episode is written, produced, researched, and edited by me, Patrick Keiser, with a very special thanks to Paco Underhill in his book, Why We Buy. For more information about Heart on Main Street, you can visit www.heartonmainstreet.org, and you can also email me at contact@heartonmainstreet.org. Thanks. Bye.